Hello again. You know, everyone tends to spruce themselves up on the opening day at the Crucible here, especially in this, the 30th anniversary year of the Embassy World Championship. And Anthony Hamilton of Nottingham is no exception. In fact, he's now shaved off that woolly beard that you've just seen underneath the big hat in favour of a rather natty and rather sporty goatee for his first round match against David Gray. Now, you might remember David Gray because he reached the final of the UK Championship last November. Quite an achievement, and as ever he did so in front of his greatest fan, his mum.
Hi, I'm Pat Gray, I'm David's mum.
Well, you're welcome back, David Gray.
I'm always pleased even if he wins a match, it's a high point for me. I'm always proud of him. I couldn't go out there and do that in front of all those people, but no, I'm very proud of him. Lots of high points. It was brilliant when he won the English Amateurs, and it was brilliant when he won Scotland.
David Gray, ladies and gentlemen.
David, what you see is what you get. That's it, that's him. You never know what mood he's going to be in. I always say to him, you shouldn't show your opponent your emotions, but he's always been the same with everything in life, so I suppose it's difficult to change old habits, isn't it? David's a bit lazy with the practice, to be honest with you. That's all we ever argue over. We don't argue over anything else. He doesn't run a car. That's another thing we argue over. That's the second thing we argue over. I thought it was just over the practice, but that's why I'm with him, because I drive him to practice, you see. So if there's no one there to fish the balls out, then I do it. I think David's got a lot of flair. I mean, I'm biased, I'm his mother, but I think he's an exciting player to watch. He's quite a fast player, he doesn't hang about. I just think he's an exciting player to watch.
So Pat will have her fingers crossed down in the players' lounge as she watches her son go into battle with Anthony Hamilton. In fact, the two of them are pretty good mates away from the table, but not today in this first round. Neil Folds and Willie Thorne will pick up the commentary in the first frame.
Looks like David's been tempted. This is a tough one. Oh, he played that nicely. That's unlucky. He may have had a result there, though. I think he may have covered it with the red.
Well, he played it pretty well, I thought. How that not dropped in the middle, I'm not sure, really. Looked bang into me. Played it slowly, also.
Yes, but he has put Anthony in a bit of trouble. David Gray can look on, and knowing that Anthony's going to have to pull a very, very good safety shot out. I honestly think he's almost forced into playing a pot here. I can't see an avenue back into baulk. I'd be tempted, Neil, of playing the one down the left-hand side pocket, just dead weight and leave the white in the jaws. Just think, OK, if you get the double kiss and stick it over the pocket, so be it. The fact that the two reds that are near the right-hand corner don't appear to be accessible from the white being down the left. So I think you play this, either stun it in and leave the white somewhere near the jaws of the pocket, or just roll it in. See, that's as good a shot as any for me. I don't think he's going to do any damage there.
Yeah, he was forced into it, wasn't he? And I think he played it in such a way where he didn't really fancy potting it. And I think you're right, it's not too bad.
Would you be the tempted to the one to the left of the pink nail in the middle?
It looks quite risky, doesn't it? It's a difficult shot. There is a red which will pot, which is above that right-hand middle pocket, and the cue ball's heading that way from this, so he's got to work out whether he's going to get the red, I suppose. So the early stage of this match, and both players not willing to take too many risks, understandably.
Yes, and looking at their ranking, Neil, they're both so close in the rankings. One seeded 17, one seeded 18. So a good run from either player here could get them into the top 16. So this is a massive match for both these players, and they're entitled to, take a bit of time in settling.
One.
That is a tremendous shot. The way he played it as well. Superbly played.
I thought when he got up very quickly, Neil, I thought he'd missed it, because watch the shot here. He's up off the shot very quickly, and I thought, well, we can't quite see from there. I thought he'd missed it, but he was obviously knew it was right in the middle of the pocket.
He played it very well, not only on the pink, but if the red hadn't have dropped in, there's every chance Anthony wouldn't have been on one. I always think that David Gray is a very good tactical player. People don't always realise that about him for a youngster, but he's been around a long time. A brilliant junior, and he's a thinker around the table, I can tell you.
He'll be disappointed with that shot, though. He played the full ball kiss on the black to remain on the two reds to the right of the three that are in line, and he didn't get the full ball contact on the black, and he's left himself something to do here, because I don't think there's a lot of room for this red to pass. There you see it's available in the middle and the left-hand side of the pocket, not in the right-hand jaw, but it's in.
8.
Handy flick that. Wouldn't have played on the pink, would have played onto the black, but it's okay.
You can see the possibility of the next 5 reds and colours. After that, there's going to be plenty of work to do, so not considered to be a frame-winning opportunity at the moment. But he can certainly get a few points in front after this visit.
It's also a question of just finding your way into a match. It's his first real chance. A lot of preparation goes into
15.
these World Championship matches for all players. But it's when you get out there you really find out how you're cueing and how you're playing, how you feel under pressure.
David Gray, of course, was the seed in this match. Anthony Hamilton, the qualifier, and he came through against a
21.
player that everybody will remember, Darren Morgan. That's who Anthony Hamilton played in the opening, or the last qualifying game. Darren making a bit of a comeback in that, and unfortunately Anthony, for Darren's fans, Anthony beat him 10-2, which is a good performance against somebody of the likes of Darren. So David Gray just at the moment at the table, 1 point behind, and still not got the cue ball under control in this break, but it is the first frame.
And that's worked out pretty well. He's nicely on the brown.
26.
Depending on how the red's situated to the right of the blue spot, if he has angle on this blue, he may move that red into play, because I think when the blue goes back on its own spot, it could cause a problem. And he still needs all the open reds, of course, to make the frame safe. He's just looking whether he can stun by the blue and get onto the red into the yellow pocket. Decided against the kiss and played that shot nicely. Good shot.
32.
As it happens, I think he just run on probably about an inch too far. He's okay, he's on a couple of reds. He did look at moving that red by the blue.
David Gray, 32.
Don't think he got the best of contacts on that one. Seemed to be a bit of a kick to me. Don't think the red came off at the angle he tried. He shakes his head. Here it is again. Well, I think that was a kick. Didn't jump, but it certainly made a bad sound when he hit it.
Yes, it seemed to straighten the ball up, didn't it? It shot straight to the left-hand side cushion, and a little unlucky there because he worked very hard for that break. Of course, it wasn't a massive break, only 32, but he really had to dig deep. Anthony's got to be a bit careful here. He doesn't want to kiss the green here in playing this shot, otherwise he won't be on anything. Yes, he's avoided the kiss on the green, played it nicely.
Just a bit of pressure on this blue with the red over the pocket to follow. Same problem still there though, this time for Anthony. The blue now without spots, and it's difficult to pot where the red is that's next to it.
6.
So once again, not necessarily a frame winning chance, this one.
Yes, the red to the extreme right-hand side of the three is potable, but of course he's got to not only pot this red and get on the colour, he needs to get onto that red high, kind of about 5 inches above the black spot is where he'll eventually want to finish to get onto that red, because he can bring the other red into play. So this is the key shot here. He needs a good angle on the colour to be able to get that positional shot.
7.
If it slows up and is on the black, it's fine. If it doesn't, it's the long blue again.
Anthony interested to see if the pink will go. If it did go, it would be a big help to him. Don't think he knew it went. Well, there it does. It does pot. He may go into the reds that are below the pink spot now. Big bonus, that one. But the pink did go. Not the best of splits.
Don't think he can pot one, Neil. I think he's finishing the only place where he can't pot one.
He might be able to pot that one that's to the right of the two at the bottom, but it's very thin.
Small wager if you wish.
I think it might pot. I just don't know how he can get to it. Well, he's getting round to look at it, Willie, so you might not want to have that bet now.
I thought you meant the one to the extreme right of the three. You twirled there.
No, I meant this one that he's looking at, actually. It's difficult to get to. He's got to be careful he doesn't foul the green on his waistcoat.
Yes, this is a very, very thin shot. He has to play it. He'll have not a lot of idea where the cue ball's going. Play with a little bit of check side, trying to miss the cannon on the red. Yes, it wasn't easy, that. That could be costly. That could be
Hamilton, 13.
almost a miss of frame-winning proportion, that one.
Well, it definitely went, but it was very, very thin.
Similar scenario here. David knows that the pink will pass the black because Anthony's just played that exact same shot. So he'll be playing for choice of pink or black here. May play one red onto the other to try and get to where he's... No, he's playing the shot direct. I thought he might have played the other one onto it because it's easier to play position off that one. And that was my point.
1.
It wasn't bound to get good position off a red over the pocket. It's always easier to play a red in open play rather than one over the pocket.
And that was the case. He has got a shot on the brown, but it's not what he was looking for, that sort of shot. I suppose from David's point of view, the other red being quite close to the pocket makes it somewhat easier. Bit of extra pressure on this brown, though. Probably got to force it in if he plays it. Looking at the yellow, slightly more difficult pot, but it takes him out into the middle of the table easier. Well, he chose not to force it in, and he's made this a slightly difficult red now.
5.
Once again, you would expect him to pot it, but a bit of pressure on it. Don't think he can get his hand on the table. He's got to play from the bulk cushion.
Yeah, it's another problem here. Even if he pots the red, if he pots it on the thinner side, he'll cannon the red. If he pots it in the centre of the pocket, he might just miss that red that's to the left of it. So not guaranteed to get a good white here. You see, that was always the problem again. And his,
Gray, 5.
it's been a strange opening frame, but a frame you would expect. There's so much importance on these opening frames in this match.
Yeah, 1 or 2 balls missed. Here it is again. It looks easy, doesn't it? There are 1 or 2 things that make it a difficult shot, notably the position. As Willie pointed out, also the fact that he couldn't actually get his hand on the table. It's a long-range red.
Well, it's all about this one shot. If Anthony Hamilton pots the red, you would fancy him to get up to at least the green, which of course he'll need if he goes on to win this frame. And that's the saving ball at the moment for David Gray.
One.
Very well played. It was a difficult shot, and it was one of those ones, well, you kind of on a hide into nothing. Can't do anything with the cue ball. Smack in the middle of the pocket. Same problem here, though, that's been around for about the last 10 minutes in this frame. That red to the right of the blue, it's just making things a little bit tricky. He could possibly go into it here off of one cushion, but it's a bit risky. I'd like to move it away from the blue if he could.
He took your advice and tried to play the cannon. It was, as you rightly say, a risky shot, but he still has the yellow.
It was the kind of shot, if you'd have hit the red half ball, it would have been absolutely perfect. So it was probably worth the risk. However, yellow to red isn't absolutely straightforward positionally. Either way, he's going to be left with a mid-range red, you would feel, if he takes it on.
Just travelled about a foot too far to make this better than about a 70-30 pot.
11.
Yeah, they're just slightly tricky angles to judge, aren't they, these ones? He's playing it to the bottom right-hand pocket. It is missable.
Anthony Hamilton, 11.
And David Gray was bang in line with that shot. And he could see that he was to be at the table. There you can see it. And David Gray bang in line in behind that shot. He knew early on that he was about to play a shot, didn't he?
Well, this could be worth the risk. Play the screw across in between the black and pink and try and move the green, because that's going to be the key ball in this frame. He has played that shot. And that is first class.
One.
That's absolutely spot on. Deserves to win that frame from that one shot.
Yeah, it was a good call, Willie. It was a great shot, wasn't it? Really well played. Here it is again. The green was the slightly difficult ball. The putt was easy enough, but he's still got to get a colour. That's all I'll say. I mean, he's put himself under a bit of pressure. I think he'll knock the blue in and get behind the yellow without too many problems, but just a chance to win this opening frame, and there's a bit extra on this actual shot now after that pretty good final red.
Six. Eight. 11.
Well, he's just gone too far. He would have liked to have been just the other side of that blue to make things an awful lot easier. Still needs pink. Don't think it's that difficult, but it's just more difficult than he wanted, really.
Did you used to favour these up and down, Neil, or did you always want to play off two cushions?
I would have gone one cushion in and out of bulk. Well, he's overhit that considerably.
20.
I think he's all right into the middle, but I cannot believe he played in the middle, Willie, can you?
Certainly didn't, but it's funny, I always preferred those two cushions rather than one. It's strange how different players have different ways, but the frame ball. And in it goes, and it was a long opening frame, some 32 minutes, the opening frame, but David Gray eventually gets over the line. He'll be delighted to take the first frame.
Foul and a miss.
Miscalled, of course.
Anthony
But,
Hamilton, 7.
with the black coming in play, I think it's a really tough safety shot for David to play, so having the balls replaced could be an option.
Anthony can see that red, though. It's the bottom left, but it's quite thin. Difficult one, really. He's probably got to take this red on. Don't think he's got too many choices. It's one of these shots, whether you like it or not, you've got to play it.
Yes, always err on the thin side when you're playing this shot. At least you've got a chance of it going off the far jaw. Hit them thick. They're never ever going to go in. Good shot. Relied on good fortune where the cue ball would finish, and it's okay. This is one of the things, okay, it's the World Championship and you're entitled to take your time and really make sure this is his first chance since early on in the opening frame. But now and again, Anthony, I think for such a good break builder, tends to look for problems rather than just get down and play. I mean, I love to watch him play. As I said earlier on in commentary, I'm surprised he hasn't done better in his career than he has so far. He's that good a player. I think sometimes he just gets himself at it by just looking for problems.
I don't think he's someone that the top players want to play particularly. I don't think they relish playing him because he really can motor. Big break builder and scorer with a huge technique as well.
He has sessions, Neil, doesn't he, where he'll make like 300s and 280s in a session and you've sat down on your chair.
Yeah, he's the kind of player that could beat absolutely anybody in the game when he's at his peak. Whereas maybe other players sometimes rely on his opponent not to play at their very best. Not the case with Anthony.
So if you have any constructive criticism, what do you feel that's gone wrong with Anthony as far as his career is concerned?
I'm not sure how his belief is. I'm not sure whether he really thinks he's as good as we all know he is, maybe. I don't think it's anything but a mental problem with him. I've been around for a while and not made that big breakthrough. Been close a couple of times. But he's a very good player.
Slightly underhit that, but no problem in getting on to either brown, blue or pink with this red. He can't hold for the black, I don't think, from the angle he has. Well, it's a little bit thicker than it looked from our commentary position. Black was the ball he played for, but still hasn't played it well. He doesn't want to be straight on this. If he'd have played up into open play for brown or pink, he'd have had very easy opportunity to get onto the two reds. Where he is now on these, he may have to play on one in the middle. There you see, virtually straight. You can see he's putting a lot of left-hand side on there. As we look there, it looks like he's hitting the black to the left-hand jaw. That's because of the side he's putting on this ball. It still did go in off the left-hand jaw and didn't get the required amount of side.
Yeah, that was the problem, wasn't it? Positional side just went wrong because of the pot before. And the black to go smack into the centre of the pocket, it wasn't the case. Nice recovery shot. Just short of position on the blue would have been much better for him had he got right behind the blue.
Well, ideally here from the yellow, he wants to be on the red next to the pink half ball, so in potting the red, he can stun into the two reds because they're going to be the key thing. To win the frame, he needs at least, well, both of those reds. So he's trying to get an angle on this. The brown's okay to move the reds, of course. So he'll certainly be playing for the brown, I think, off this red.
Yeah, I think so. He's just shaping up to see exactly where he wants to be on the brown to go into the two reds. At some speed, I reckon, not ever so much speed. He's just looking to see what's going to happen. So he's looking 2 shots on here.
Yes, I suppose the double kiss will be on there, wouldn't it? If he gets on the half ball brown, he's got to be careful he doesn't double kiss the red nearest the brown in playing the pot. And as you rightly say, playing it at pace, even if you get a double kiss, you've got chance of manoeuvring both reds into play.
Exactly, he may actually hit the first red onto the second red. Possibilities here. Key shot though.
Did get the double kiss, and because of the pace he played it, he got the white and red into open play, but still needs a good positional shot
37.
to get the last red into play.
Yeah, you may feel that he was a bit fortunate there, but I think he calculated that kind of shot, really. Looking for an angle
28.
from the black to the red. I think he'll be playing to cannon it out, will he? He could conceivably play in behind it, couldn't he?
Yeah, I'd always favour the two cushions cannon though, rather than one cushion, because you're pushing the red into play then rather than down the cushion. So he'll be playing two cushions in behind it, bring it slightly into play. And he's played it a nice weight. Unlucky. Unlucky.
But how often did you see that happen?
45.
There was enough gap to go in behind it, and that happens all the time.
Well, if you play to do it, Neil, how many times? You'd probably have 8 goes and not go round the back of it.
Very true. Very true. There wasn't an awful lot of room. Any kind of a flick on the red would have been good.
This is the angle you see. He's trying to play at two cushions to push the red into play. To go around the back is very unfortunate.
Anthony Hamilton, 45.
That was a very important shot, wasn't it? Had to take it on. Very close to getting the pot. It was just that bit of extra speed that kept it out. That was effectively frame ball.
Yes, just a colour needed should that red have disappeared. And now one good pot from David Gray, and he becomes favourite to pinch the frame and go 2-0 in front. And you can see there the annoyance on Anthony's face as he leaves the table. The fact that he's left half a chance for David Gray. And it is a good chance if he pots the red. Well, that surprises me. OK, it was a tough pot, but when you do get half a chance to pinch a frame, to hurt your opponent, I always tend to favour the pot. Now, he's played a great safety shot, but if Anthony Hamilton gets his safe, he may have lost the advantage, David Gray. To play this with an awful amount of swerve. I think he might come out inside this red playing it this way. He has come inside it.
Found a miss.
Doesn't want to leave a free ball because David Gray might take the
Gray
brown
ball,
on, and he will
free
take
ball.
the brown on from here. So David Gray's choice of the safety shot rather than the pot, Neil, at the previous shot was the right choice now.
It was a good shot. It was a horrible shot that Anthony Hamilton was left with, a swerve into the first cushion.
Depending on what angle he has on the brown, he may have to play for the green here. He'd like to play for the brown again or the blue off this first shot to make it easy. Yes, it wasn't a good angle on the brown. Now, what kind of angle has he got on the green? If he's straight, he can't get on the red.
1.
Well, it's clearly tight either way because he's had a long, hard look at the green.
Is it the brown twice across then?
It's a very difficult pot, Willie, that brown, isn't it? Thin.
Well, he obviously can't be straight on the green, otherwise he wouldn't be taking this on. There must be some sort of angle there. Well, I'm not sure whether that was another kick, but
David
whatever
Gray,
happens, it could have cost him the frame.
I think he had to force an angle, and it was a difficult shot, wasn't it, under the circumstances? Here it is again. I didn't think it was a kick, I've got to be honest. It was a shot that he didn't like much, and he took it on. may well have cost him the frame.
Yes, even if he takes the black, he'll need the yellow, Anthony, so still a little bit of work to do.
1.
Oh, that flew off the cushion, the cue ball there. That's ended up nice. So you see Anthony there just touching the cushion nearly. He knew that it came off faster off the cushion. It did going on it, so that's just something you get in the early days of the opening rounds here at the Crucible. Tables need time to settle.
No heroics there whatsoever. Effectively framed ball. He'd like to pot a couple more just to make it completely safe.
Yes, the reason I mentioned that Anthony needed the yellow, it
Actually,
just
Hamilton,
means that, of course, David Gray is certain to carry on. But without snookers, it'll be Anthony Hamilton who levels the scores at 1-all.
Well, nowhere near the snooker that he played, but has he angled him into that bottom corner of the pocket? There's a lot of smiling going on between the two players. He could be angled, which is amazing.
And even if he's not angled, Neil, I mean, the one cushion escape is straight over the pink spot. I honestly think he's going to have to play a swerve round the pink off one cushion to get onto this yellow. Yeah, my colleague Neil's put this line up here. You see, the natural angle's not there, so he's going to have to masse round the pink. And we saw what happened last time he played that shot. He missed it by a long way.
Very difficult shot, this. And in the back of his mind is exactly how he's ended up in this position, isn't it? And the other thing is, it's hard to swerve when you're right in the tight in the jaws of the pocket, isn't it?
And two things, Neil, of course. If he happens to miss the yellow and go in between the gap of yellow and green, he's almost bound to leave a free ball.
Wasn't even a very good shot from David Gray, was it? Now, he's taking on a different shot here. I think he's forcing into the cushion further down. Well, he got an amazing angle there. That threw very wide. He looks puzzled by that one, Willie. How did the cue ball end up that side of the yellow?
Yeah, it did well to make the angle there. I thought, like you, would have to play the swerve. He has left the free ball, as we suggested. Now, does David Gray think he can gain more points from having the balls replaced? Because it was a very hard snooker. And where the yellow is, Neil, I won't really want to get behind this yellow in potting a free ball. I think I'd rather have them replaced. What do you think?
I think so. I think so, yeah.
The reason we say that, sorry Neil, the reason we say that, even if he pots the black and gets nicely on the yellow, it's a tough shot from yellow to green, where he can gain probably 12 points advantage from when he put in, and if Anthony Hamilton hits the yellow, he could stick it on.
Now, curiously, I think that David is taking a look at laying another snooker on Anthony, but I don't think he can make it any harder than one that he was just in, to be honest.
Well, if he plays the black and gets the snooker behind the three other colours, I think that's totally the wrong shot. If you're going to play a snooker, put the balls back, because that was the hardest snookers you could get. Well, he's looking at that shot, Neil, and that just shows you what the pressure of the Crucible is. I think there's two shots here. You either pot the black, try and get on the yellow, or you have the balls replaced.
Well, I do make it that he's one of these players that tends to play the right shots, but he's having a long, hard look here, and only time will tell, I guess. I like his shot selection usually.
You don't like this one, though, because this is now an easy snooker to get out of. Anthony Hamilton is a certainty to hit this yellow, whereas before he could have been there for 10 minutes.
I have to agree with you, Willie.
It's virtually a natural angle now to go off one cushion into the yellow, and he's got half a chance, if he avoids the cannon on the green, of getting the snooker back. Really surprised. So here you see this is a lot more direct angle off one cushion. If he gets in behind it, he could get a snooker. Mind you, well, I don't think these cushions are right now. That's twice that's come inside. I'm really surprised at that angle there.
The one thing you know when you start on a tournament on a table
ball.
that's like this with new cushions, new everything, is that the cushions slide, and they're not sliding, it would seem, unless Anthony's making huge overcompensations. But he was a mile away from that, and as you say, you thought he was an absolute certainty to hit that from there. So maybe David Gray didn't play the wrong shot now.
Well, I still think he did, purely because he's got the same scenario now. Or does he play a free ball and get on the yellow, or does he play a snooker?
Well, this time I think he's got to play onto the yellow, really, where the balls are. He can attempt the black deep screw up the table, or he can play the blue. I think he's got to take the shot on this time.
Well, it's amazing what Crucible nerves do to you, because both these players have taken, as you would rightly expect in this situation, plenty of time on the shot. But once again, David making it look a little bit more difficult than it is. He's playing the pink round. 3 cushions here to try and get onto the... So he's going to play off bottom cushion, side cushion, in between the blue, and try and get onto the yellow close.
Well, from my own personal point of view, I think if he's got any kind of an angle on the blue, it would have been an easier shot than to climb on the table and play the pink with no absolute guarantee you'll be on the yellow. That would be my choice of shot.
Yeah, if the blue's not straight now, if he can play the stun run through and go to the right-hand side of the brown, you know, I would favour that myself. There you see the slight angle. Needs to play the stun run through nicely, and he's played it very nicely.
Didn't quite get enough stun onto it though, and what's happened is the white's just drifted on, and I think he'll be playing safe now.
It's just come too high to play the pot here, I think.
David Gray, 2.
But whatever happens, David Gray right back into this frame. I think he's had a stroke of luck there, because once he'd kissed the green, to have got a snooker is very fortunate.
I don't think Anthony can quite believe the way this frame has gone so far. He was home and hosed, you would think. And David needed a snooker, but since then, it's gone against him, and that wasn't the best of shots from Gray either. Left the yellow close to that middle, but the green's in the way for the pot.
The 1 cushion escape is the straightforward way to hit the yellow, but the 2 cushion, you seem to have more chance of getting it safe. The 1 cushion, it's very tough to glance off the ball, whereas 2 cushions, you've always got the chance of that happening. That's well played.
Anthony has to be careful in safety here. There's always a possibility of a double kiss if you're trying to push the yellow back down the table or play a cross double.
Looks like he's trying to get in behind brown and green with a cue ball. Now that, as Neil mentioned, there was always a chance of some sort of kiss happening there. This is a tempter for Gray.
It is, especially where the green is. He'll be heading up in behind that if this goes in. Difficult, though. Well, the shot was on and he played it really well. So a chance to really pinch a frame. I mean, he wanted a snooker earlier on. There's the difference now, just 17 in it. Needs the lot, though. Green to black clearance required.
I think pinch is the optimum word there, because it would be pinch the frame. Anthony Hamilton has done precious little wrong towards the end of this frame, and David Gray, with a couple of slices of very, very good fortune, has gone right back into this frame.
Just one more key shot here. Anthony looking on, hoping to get another chance this frame, but I think he probably realises he's almost down to this one. Brown to blue, just got to be achieved still, this one. Now the cue ball has leapt off that cushion again. He only wanted to lay in behind the blue, not cannon into it like that. And nudging the blue on has not made it all that much easier. I think he's got to take it on to the middle. It's kind of in between a shot to the right middle and the right corner. And the cue will be travelling around the table as well, so this is a huge shot.
Yes, a little bit of left-hand side here. 2, maybe 3 cushions to get onto the pink. In and out of baulk. I don't think this white's going to be anywhere that's good. This is going to be a rather tricky
14.
little pink. But he'll be taking it on.
We talk about big moments in a match. This is early doors in the match, but to take a 2-0 lead from here would be significant. So Anthony Hamilton looking on. It's been a very strange frame. It's almost the beauty of snooker, though. You never know what's coming next. David Gray with this black to take a 2-0 lead. So the clearance of the colours sees David Gray take a 2-0 lead.
Thank you, the third frame. David Gray to break.
Well, it's the third frame now, and David Gray will be delighted to be 2-0 in front, having pinched the second frame, and he breaks off in frame 3. David Gray 2-0 in front, so this is a tempter that he'll I think he's 2-0 behind. You sometimes don't fancy this kind of shot. The fact that he's 2-0 in front, he'll take it on in the middle. He'll avoid the blue, okay. It's just a case of whether he can play it slow enough not to avoid cannon on the baulk colours, or if he has to play it at pace, avoid the baulk colours.
Played it confidently as well in the end with the pace, and he's on a bolt colour, no problem. Now David looking at a key shot, that red above the black.
This is where you see the players who are not in form play different to the top players. You know that O'Sullivan or Hendry would play one cushion straight into the pink here for two reasons. A, to bring reds into play, and also have a chance of freeing both the black and pink. You just know that David's going to play the shot you suggested and play for the loose red to try and get an angle to flick the red out. Now this is fine if you get the angle, but if you finish dead straight, it's end of break. Now has he finished straight?
5.
He's played it absolutely perfectly.
Six.
And now that's happened. He's done very well indeed. See, we never suggest it's the wrong shot playing that kind of shot, Neil, but sometimes you've got to give yourself a chance of having a little bit of luck. Playing there, he had to play to fractions, but played to fractions and finished perfectly.
Certainly was a good shot. Slight shake of the head. He's let the cue ball just run a
13.
bit. That was an awfully good shot, better than it looked in fact. To hold for the black from there was excellent.
And even in the best of 19, Neil, we've had the pleasure of playing here on many occasions, not against each other. I don't think we ever played against
21.
But it's amazing how a match can run away from you without doing an awful lot wrong. And this is what's happening to Hamilton at the minute.
22.
That's exactly right. By the way, do you always forget when you lose?
Oh, yeah, I've played you here, have I?
Yeah.
What did you beat me?
I don't remember. I know I beat you, but
You're
obviously
kidding.
you've erased that from the memory, have you?
Oh, obviously, I can't believe you beat me. But it is a tough venue to play, Neil. You've got to a semi-final here, and you do need that little bit of good fortune, even though the best of 19 or 25. Now and again, you need things to happen, and Anthony in the screen there has not had anything happen for him today so far.
Well, that's exactly how the match has gone, isn't it? It's gone against him. But David Gray did reach the final of the UK Championship, so we do know that he likes the longer matches. Gives him a chance to settle into his game.
I remember a classic match he played here a few years ago where he beat Ronnie O'Sullivan, and that was, I think, one of the best matches ever seen here at the Crucible. Both players played fantastic.
Well, that was a match where Ronnie made 5 centuries, and there's the story that Ronnie never loses when he plays at his very best, which is mostly right, isn't it?
Yes, to make 5 centuries and lose is tough, isn't it?
No, he's a very good player, if
37.
not a little inconsistent.
I think we'd almost have to say very inconsistent with David Gray, because I agree with you, he's a fantastic
38.
player, but has lots of matches where he just doesn't fire. Disappointed there, hasn't left a perfect angle on this black. He can only play for the loose red. He wanted to leave an angle to go into the bunch there, but he didn't do that. Now this pack is not great. When you go into this
45.
pack, we've said many times on commentary, any full ball contact is nowhere, so he's going to finish low on the black, and then he needs a half ball contact of either the 2 reds to the outside of that little line of 3. Doesn't matter which one, but you've got to hit them
46.
half ball. Well, I don't even think he's left an angle.
Well, I think he's got some kind of an angle, but certainly not the kind he wanted. He'll have to force this. There you can see. May play one cushion into them with topspin.
Foul.
Well, the cameras are only worth about 30 grand. I think you nearly knocked the cameraman out there. I don't know whether we've got a shot of that in mid-air, the black, but it certainly not only nearly knocked the cameraman out, nearly broke the camera.
Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean, here it is again. I did say he had to force it, but that is forcing it, isn't it? I thought it was going to go through the wall.
Touching ball.
Yes, it's be a bit like cricket in the future, won't it? Cameramen wearing pads and arm pads and things, helmets. But once again, what a result he's had, Neil. He's missed the black, gone into the bunch perfect. Hamilton left with a safety.
Absolutely.
Nothing to worry about just yet for Anthony. It's only 2-0 behind, best of 19, so an awful lot of time in this match, but you never settle till you get that frame on the board. You can get frustrated. Appears to be having a little bit of tip trouble there, just making sure that the chalk is holding on the tip. Should have got it ready for this championship. I remember Neil practicing, and 2 or 3 weeks before the Crucible, sometimes you used to go through 2 or 3 tips, didn't you? Because you wanted to come to the Crucible with a tip that could possibly last for quite a few matches.
Plays a big part in your preparation. The tip on your cue. I suppose many of the non-snooker players might not realise that, but it really does.
Yes, you very rarely see a player come to the Crucible. I'm talking about a player that has chances to get to at least the quarter or semi-final stage with a very, very thin tip, because you don't want to be changing a tip halfway through a tournament. Most players have come to the championship with a tip that's probably just 2 or 3 weeks old to give yourself a chance to make it last throughout the 17 days. And it is a marathon, Neil, isn't it, the Crucible?
It certainly is. It's a real test of the best and the strongest mentally, everything really. What a brilliant shot that was. He was forced into it. Super shot. Well, here it is again. Distance between cue ball and object ball. Very well played.
David's turned to have a bit of misfortune there, because any sort of kiss on the blue would have been perfect, but he's kissed it in such a way that avoiding the brown and green is a problem. It's thin enough to possibly just come inside the green, but he might try and screw it in to avoid them. He's playing with top, so he's hoping to go inside the green. Now, if he pots it thick, he'll kiss the green. He's potted it thin enough, though, to avoid the cannon, and played it very nicely. Good shot.
6.
So he's landed on the bottom of the pack of reds, the one below the black, which will be a key shot once again. An excellent chance if this goes in. There is a red to left middle he's looking at as well.
Seven.
This is the first time in this match where we've had the balls in a position where you would expect the player to score heavily. The Reds have been very scrappy over the opening 2 frames. This is the first time we've had the wonderful chance of saying
13.
frame-winning opportunity. And the fact that he leads by 52 points means that another 20 points will suffice.
$14. 21.
In fact, this red is effectively frame ball.
$22.
Certainly more to come. Don't think there's going to be a repeat of the last frame where Anthony lost it, despite David Gray needing snookers, because this is going to be cut and dried, really.
He's left himself a little bit to do there
29.
on the black. He had to play the cannon into the reds. Anthony, probably the first frame where he hasn't really been involved in the frame. The previous 2 frames he had chances in both, and very unfortunate not to have taken the second.
$30.
It'll certainly be a psychological blow when you lose a frame where your opponent needs snookers. It's a kind of accepted that you're going to win that frame and go on, but he didn't, and it's affected him here a little bit as well.
Yeah, what would the percentage be, Neil, needing snookers? I suppose you'd win probably 1 in
57.
30 frames or something like that.
Depends who you're playing, doesn't it? Steve Davis was always one of those players you could always get
38.
snookers. He got 2 frames in a row off me once where he needed snookers. Guess who won the match?
You felt pretty good at the time. Yes, he was a master. It's a different game though now, Neil. Very rarely in the
45.
standard of snooker these days do snookers come in the equation. Probably 1 in every 4 or 5 frames. But as you rightly say, players
46.
like Davis, Thorburn, Taylor, Griffiths, they were all... John Higgins, I think, is the best at the moment of being in a situation where you never think you've won the frame until he's conceded. David Gray misses the
45 on the
pink.
frame.
Anthony Hamilton concedes, and David Gray taking it quite convincingly that, and streaks into a now 3-frame lead.
Yeah, I think that was the problem, Willie, wasn't it? The fact that it wasn't touching ball and he had to make contact with the red, but there wasn't an obvious way back to ball from there.
Yes, the contact on the blue was full ball, which is a poor shot. Getting a little bit frustrated, which is unlike Anthony. Bit of heavy breathing going on, and sighs, which is something you don't usually see Anthony do, but he knows it should be no worse than 2-1 at the moment.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mentioned at the start of this frame, it was kind of a must-win frame for Anthony, I reckon. Because to be 4-0 down would go against the run of play.
One.
Beautiful shot, really was. With the rest through a gap onto the pink, exactly what he played.
Still not an easy opportunity, this. There's plenty of reds on, but the red above and the red to the right of the black are causing major problems at the moment. The angle he has on the pink is going to have to kiss something. Can't get onto a red directly. He's had a result there as well. Played for the red in the opposite middle.
7.
2 kisses later, he's on the one into the left middle.
Eight.
Slightly hampered, which always means you're not down naturally. Okay, you should definitely pot the pink, but it would be a certainty without him being hampered. Still a certainty. Now, at least he can get rid of one of the reds that's causing a problem, because that will make the black available. So red up for
14.
blue, pink, or one of the bought colours, and then back down for that dodgy red above the black. That then becomes a chance.
$15.
So it looks like he's up for one of the bulk colours, because if he takes on the blue, it will seemingly go near its spot, just below where the pink is. Pink currently on the blue spot.
$20.
Well, he's looking to want to screw back for choice of pink or blue. I mean, where the black is, if he just rolled the red in and then rolled the black in, he'd nudge the other red over the pocket as well. But it looks like he wants to impart a little bit of screw on this. So even if he pots this nil, I don't see the advantage. I think if you're going to try and win the frame at this visit, you've got to play for the black here.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that felt he was going to be too near the side cushion for the black. Didn't have too much of an angle, although mentioned earlier on that the blue wasn't going to go on its spot. It just made things a little bit congested where the blue and pink are.
Yeah, but all you're doing there, Neil, isn't it, is getting another 6 or 7 points, because I don't think he can get onto a red now, and from being on the cushion, okay, he'd have been on the cushion on the black, but at least he would have been pushing the other red into play from the black.
It was a shot before, though, that went wrong. He didn't want to get that straight onto the red down the cushion with the rest, did he? It was just not what he wanted, really.
David's had a little look to see if the red above the black will pot in the right-hand corner. If it does, and he plays the blue at pace, he's going to have to come off 2 cushions and go round the back of the black. Now, this is a tough shot to play. He's played it. Now, is he hit it hard enough? Well, another result. It's turned out okay. Anthony Hamilton, and we can see from here, he's just
26.
shaking his head completely there. Oh, I was going to say, I forgot that the blue was going to go on the black spot, so Anthony will have a little reprieve there. That's why the wry smiles arrived.
I think Anthony forgot, because you're right, he shook his head as if David had been fortunate.
Yes, he thought he'd left a dead straight pot in the middle, Anthony, didn't he? And like ourselves, who didn't realise that the blue wouldn't go back onto its, or near its own spot. If the red is dead straight into the bought pocket, it could be a tempter, even though he's hampered. No, it looks like he's playing a thin safety.
David Gray, 26.
Anthony coming around to see whether the black is available. He could take this pot on and screw into the side cushion with check side, knowing that it'll be on the black should it go in. And shouldn't leave anything straight forward if it doesn't. Appears that he doesn't like that choice. He's looking at the safety. Well, decided that he is going to take it on. So the key thing here is getting very close to the pot. No, he's playing safe. He's putting top on the ball. He decided against the pot. Don't blame him because it was tough. But for somebody of Anthony's class, that's very poor. It's a big target now in behind brown and yellow. That is where the cue ball needs to finish, if possible. Not played it very well, actually. He perhaps should have swung the cue ball around 2 cushions there to get him behind them.
Yeah, quite surprised he didn't play it like that, really. It was an opportunity to angle him behind them.
This is very tough to hit thin, not to going off. Played it nicely.
This time you saw David try and shape the white around him behind that brown. Didn't quite get there, but it's not too bad.
This is the 4th shot on the trot where players are trying to swing it round and get in behind the baulk colours, but as yet neither player has played it nicely enough to get the snooker. Now Anthony may take this pot on because he can play it with a lot of check side, which means he won't cannon into the bunch. Obviously chance of being on brown or pink will suffice if it does go. Now is he playing the pot or is he playing the swing round safety shot again? It's the safety. How's the weight this time? This looks better.
And that was a pretty good shot. Very difficult to hit a thin red when it's so close to the cushion, as it was in that case.
It's amazing, Neil, isn't it, how you get patterns of play. I think this is now going to be the 8th shot on the trot where players are trying to swing it around the same cushions to get in behind brown and yellow. He'll play the same shot again here. Eventually somebody's going to get it tight behind there. We may see another go here from David. He doesn't fancy the pot. If you had to have a wager, who would you fancy getting the shot right the first time here, Neil? Because it's going to be played again.
It is. It's going to be hard for Anthony this time, though, because he can't get his hand on the table and get the side on to swing the white round quite so easily. Get the feeling that David Gray's happier, isn't he? 3-0 up. Obviously he's happy with that, but playing the safeties, he's more content with that because he thinks he's got a great chance of winning the frame. Tend to find that matches take patterns, and David has been pinching all the frames so far. Now, how did that red get down there? Very unfortunate. But he's got a very good cue ball, though.
It's strange, isn't it? The first time a red's come into play is the first time that one of the two players has played the pace right. And Anthony's looking up at a couple of his friends in the boxes up there and suggests that I think that David Gray can possibly hit the red. I don't think he can pot it. And I think the same shot will be played again. Could swing it round again in behind them.
Certainly things get a bit congested, though, down that left side of the table.
Does the one to the right of the black, Neil, go into the corner?
I thought it might, but I'm not sure how he would get on the colour from there.
Yeah, but you just know that the top 3 or 4 players would play that pot regardless, rather than get bogged down like they are doing at the minute. So it's the containing safety again.
Now this looks pretty good. Well, that's a possibility. If he could run in behind there, he did look at this shot. There aren't too many other options.
Yeah, it's all about pace, this shot. You can't afford to overhit it to leave a possible pot into the middle. The 2 reds, or the 3 reds to the right of the black, I think, are all available into the middle pocket, so it's all about pace.
Found a miss. Anthony Hamilton 7.
Well, I'm surprised now. These cushions appear to be playing tricks on the players at the moment, because you had the line, in my opinion, absolutely perfectly, and that came narrow.
It did. It slid off the first cushion, didn't it? Something all the players have to get used to. Tables all play differently, especially in the early stages of a tournament. It's given Anthony an opening red. The colours aren't that well spread. The blue will pot bottom left if you can somehow get in behind it at some stage.
First chance Anthony's had for quite some time, and what he wouldn't do for a 50 or 60 break here. right back into the match. At 3-1, there's no real problem, best of 19. At 4-0, you are looking at major problems.
Four. Five.
Tremendous shot. Exactly how he played it. And all of a sudden, things are looking a bit better in this frame where the balls are now to get that black on.
Yes, and you mentioned a few moments ago that the blue's available as well, Neil, so that'll be his next choice, get the blue back up into
12.
into play on its own spot, and all of a sudden then, within 2 shots from what looked like being a scrappy frame, it could be an open frame.
$13.
I think he's a bit worried about the blue here because he's going to cannon into the red to the right of the blue, and if he doesn't get the correct amount of spin off the white, he might be a little closer to the red than he wants. He's got to play this at pace. He's okay. Do you risk
18.
playing the gap, Neil, or do you go up for blue or baulk colour?
I was just going to say there is definitely a gap there. But with awkward cueing and 1 or 2 other factors, it's got to be got dead right, the pace of this shot.
I think I'd prefer to go up for blue or baulk colour, wouldn't you, rather than risk it?
19.
It was well judged and a great shot. There is quite a big gap there.
Yes, he played it really well, didn't he? Look at the gap there. Okay, he had about 8 or 9 inches, but when you're 3-0 behind and a little bit twitchy, you can certainly underhit or overhit that shot, and played it to perfection. Deserves to win the frame now. And on reflection of what we've seen, I think a fair scoreline would be about 3-1 now.
Well, it certainly would.
26.
Lost frame 2 when that man on screen got the snooker and won the frame on the colours. Well,
Anthony Hamilton.
that is
26.
an amazing miss. It really is. I think he flicked a little bit of right-hand side on it, Willie, but I'm absolutely staggered that he missed that one.
Yep. Alignment is a possibility, and as you rightly say, Neil, probably just turn the red over with a little bit of right-hand side, and that's either A, bad cueing, or B, careless.
He'd done all the hard work. It was quite extraordinary that he would miss a ball like that, but I think it was just a bit of right-hand side, and these cloths are very lively.
Yes, anybody
One.
who's read snooker books over the years, especially Joe Davis, he said years ago it was you couldn't make the side impart from object ball to cue ball. There was a clear example of the today's conditions. You can do that because that little bit of side is just flick that red straight over to the left-hand side cushion. It wouldn't happen with the old balls or a thicker cloth. It certainly happens with the conditions these days. Got to be very careful to hit centre ball when you mean to.
Interestingly, David Gray didn't opt for that small gap onto the black. He took up the option of going up for the blue. He finished a bit straight, though.
Six.
possible chance of risking the gap again, but you would imagine he'd go up for blue or green.
7.
Neither player yet, Neil, has had the cue ball on what we call a string, hasn't it? It's been kind of losing the white quite often.
I think this is a big match for both players. There's a bit of tension in their arms, I reckon. But the man who's at the table now will be feeling much better about things. But you're right, though. Things have gone awkward, and once again, potting that red, he just finished too far over for the green. He can pot it, but he's got to stretch over the table.
Yes, the fact that the brown's off its spot means that he can play the cue ball back over the brown spot to come down for this red that's nearest the pink spot. Big gap there between yellow and blue to play that shot. There you see the cue ball up virtually going over the brown spot. But once again, not in prime position.
10.
Yeah, short of pace. I think he wanted to leave himself a choice of reds. Red to bottom right, also red to right centre was his options. Finishing short's made things difficult once again. A real struggling break so far.
Yes, the cut into the middle is the easiest pot, but he has no chance really of getting position. That's why he's looking at the cut by the black. Plain ball, he'll come in between the reds and back up for the blue. I thought he would.
It's the hardest 11 break I've ever seen, I think. Another good pot, but again, faced with a difficult shot here. Probably take on the blue or pink. Needs to stay positive.
Yes, the screw in off in the middle pocket is his only problem here if he decides to play it at pace. And there's the white going.
David Gray, 11.
Tricky shot, which he missed by a couple of inches. Now there's where the cue ball finished up, and this isn't the opening shot you want if you're Anthony Hamilton. David Gray, we're delighted to be 3-0 up, but he had a chance there to go 4-0.
Yes, the black not being available in the left-hand corner makes this a difficult pot. I think a safety should be the choice here for Anthony because, okay, he might pot the red probably 8 out of 10, but he's not guaranteed to get position, and because of that, puts a lot more pressure on the pot.
Exactly, it's a horrible shot to be left with, isn't it, really? The red's hard enough, but without any guaranteed position. You can see him potting it and not being on the colours, no good to him at all. He's taking it on.
Well, it looks like he's playing at pace to try and make it into a shot to nothing. Yeah, he's played it as a shot to nothing. You see blue in the middle pocket.
He may have played it as a shot to nothing, Willie, but he's left a red on.
Well, it's come out as it. You can see this red. Yeah, he's played low on the blue, so not to leave this red on. Now that's a poor shot from Anthony now, having left this red. He'll be kicking himself.
1.
Little check side there to get on the black.
I don't think he could have done too much with the white differently there. I think he just had to chance his arm somewhat, make sure of the red. He's got a shot on the black. Once again, tricky.
This has been in the 3 of the 4 frames we've seen this morning. Very, very close. Just 4 points in it now with 51 available. Just be playing the tuck in behind the brown here. Won't play the double in this situation. If those 2 reds had been in open play, he might have risked the double, but the fact that they're tied up, no advantage.
David Gray, 8.
Once again, though, Willie, when you're 3-0 up, you don't really mind being involved in a scrappy frame like this so much, do you? As when you're 3-0 down, you're desperate to get your head and get potting balls. That's what Anthony's position is. It's just not quite happened for him so far.
Well, you can see the red. He may be able to pot this, you know, in the middle. But once again, the blue's the only open ball he can get on, so is it worth the risk? Seems every time Anthony gets to the table at the moment, he's faced with a difficult shot to nothing. And here's a situation where David can take this pot on as a shot to nothing, knowing that he's got a chance of getting on maybe 4 colours with this red.
One.
Well, surely he's not left an angle to bring these reds into play. Yes, he's been very fortunate.
It'd be difficult to bring them into play where the black is, though, really, won't it? They're kind of in the way. He'd have to go maybe into the bottom cushion first. He was also just eyeing up the possibility of potting a red to the right-hand corner.
Yeah,
if
I
that's
agree.
on, it's a big bonus, isn't it?
I don't mind if he plays the cannon into the black, but as you rightly say, he's looking at the alternative, playing for 1 loose red. The cannon is played. How has he done well? Yeah, very well.
Well, he was maybe lucky to get there on the blue, but he played it really well.
6.
Now, Anthony, 10 points behind. You'd fancy him potting red colour, and the only problem for Anthony when he comes to the table, if he doesn't get on the last red, he could be faced with the snooker tight in behind the black. He now's looked at that equation. So David Gray wants to be top side of the blue here off this red. He'll try and get on the last red if he can to pot it, but it's such an easy snooker if he doesn't get on the red nightly.
7.
You'd play the pot here, Neil, wouldn't you, on the brown if you could, rather than just tuck him behind the green?
Yeah, the pink's an option, I think, as well. Possibly he can get down from the pink to the red. It just may be that he's landed right in behind that pink to take him right behind the red. And as you say, he'll play on the red. If he doesn't get on it, it's a snooker, isn't it? But we're looking to win the frame from this visit, if possible.
Now, doesn't want to be straight.
13.
Now, that's given Anthony Hamilton a chance now, because I think David, he won't risk running it through for the black. He may just pop the red and then run up behind the black as a snooker. But he's playing with top. Now, this is missable playing it this way.
14.
Well, the pockets don't seem too bad now. That swallowed the red.
Now he's got a great angle here. He leads by 18 points. He needs the black and yellow. And in potting this black, it'll take him right in behind the yellow.
Well, if ever a match shouldn't have been 4-0, Neil, I think this was it. I mean, it's been really a baptism of fire for Anthony Hamilton as far as the way the balls have run. Everything is... David's played the better of the two players, without doubt, but, you know, it certainly shouldn't be 4-0.
23. $26. $30. $35. 41 on the frame, David Gray.
Well, Gray makes a 41 breaks to finish frame 4. It's been an evenly contested match, but David Gray leads 4-0
possible, please.
at the mid-session interval.
One.
And even that little nudge helps. The fact that I think he's got top side of the blue now. Oh dear, he's getting even more annoyed.
I know the feeling. It can get you that way sometimes. This is a huge match for him. Biggest match of his season by some margin.
This is something over the years you don't see Anthony Hamilton do, really,
6.
show any emotion. He's usually very, very placid and very keeps his emotions within himself. But today, for some reason, he's obviously must be playing really well in practice, because that's when you get really frustrated, when you know you're playing good. And obviously every player in this championship would have put hours and hours of work into this last couple of weeks.
7.
Preparation prior to this great championship starting again, and it must be really frustrating.
I think sometimes when your expectations are so high, you can be quite easily disappointed. And there is a long way to go in this match, but he hasn't really got any kind of a foothold into it yet.
Well,
that's not even gone quite as David Gray would have liked. Didn't go as far on that blue as he would have wanted. There you can see what he's got. 2 options, an easier red, which requires more cue power, the lower of the 2, or the other one above it. Now he's taken on the 3rd option, the red with the rest.
$13. David Gray, 13.
Well, they slightly mishit the safety, but I don't think he's left anything straightforward. A very easy safety shot there for David, but don't appear to be any pot. So it's thin with a lot of right-hand side. Just got to avoid the cannon on the yellow when playing this shot. Has he avoided the yellow? Yes, he has. It's key there on that kind of shot to try and get as close to the cushion as possible, because whenever a player can hit the full circumference of the cue ball, it's very easy to impart side, whereas when you're on the cushion it's not. So he may take this pot on. It's been such a slow match, Neil. I think both players now have just lost their action.
I was just thinking that he jabbed that one. On the way down, it kind of looked a bit jabby before even actually ended up missing the pot. But you're right, that happens, doesn't it? In a match like this, where the balls haven't really been flowing, the pots haven't been going in, then you start to lose your game a bit.
One.
David Gray will be the happier of the two, not only because he's 4-1 up, but because he's not playing well but winning. So he won't be too keen to change things. It's more down to his opponent to change the flow of the game.
Eight.
Yes, there's virtually about a half an hour's worth of play left in this session before they have to be taken off. So now it appears apparent that the full 9 frames won't be played in this session. And that's why it's key for David Gray really to certainly win at least 2 of possibly the remaining 3 frames that are left. Yes, both players struggling at the moment.
And that kind of thing's happened a few times. Hit the red on the way through, which he didn't want to do. This will pot, bottom left. May take it on, there's good value. Goes in, he'll continue the break with possible chance to win the frame. So he's taking this red on.
David Gray, 16.
Wasn't far away, will he?
Well, watching it on that camera angle, I thought it was definitely in. It really hit that nicely. Let's have another look at this as it's going down there. Well, there, you would think it was a certainty, wouldn't you?
Don't know about you, but the amount of people that come up to me and say how big these pockets are that they play on in the professional tournaments, not like my local club. It's not the case, though, is it?
No, it's the fact that the players are so much better than the local club players, of course. They know which jaw to go off when they're playing at pace and know how hard to hit them. And I must admit, now and again, along the black cushion, I tend to feel that sometimes these match table pockets are quite generous. There was a prime example of saying not that much difference, because that looked in. Long dead straight red available, and if he wants to take it on, he'll have to make sure he covers the red over the pocket with the brown. Just going around to look where he needs to leave the cue ball to make it a shot to nothing, but the way he's playing at the moment, I would think is a 10-to-1 chance knocking this in.
Well, he missed one like this into the opposite corner earlier on, and then potted one that was much more difficult next time, but I think he's not taking it on. So you're kind of right, Willie. He didn't fancy it on what he's been playing like over the last few frames, I suppose.
Miss David Gray, 4.
Miscalled. Won't be taken, though. He wanted to get right up in behind that red.
I'm just thinking that the only reason it might be taken is the fact that if he rolls up to it and leaves touching ball, it's an easier safety shot, isn't it? I agree with you. I'd have preferred to play the safety shot if I could.
Yeah, I guess. Don't know what can go wrong here in particular, though, but Anthony Hamilton with his chalk in his mouth there.
Yeah, you couldn't see it direct. It's just
It's a new one on me.
Yes, the only way David Gray will gain advantage if Anthony does roll up and leave touching ball, because it means that David Gray can just roll off in behind the black. He's looking at alternative his shot now, which is surprising. If he plays to the one on the right-hand side cushion, the one he's looking at, he was worried about leaving the plant, the two reds behind the pink spot there, into the corner. I think he'll still play the little roll-up. Yes, he just wasted a bit of time for a moment there.
found a miss. David
Almost
Gray.
identical.
And he will be warned by referee Peter Williamson. I don't think he'll be missing it 3 times in a row, though. He's just got to play a slightly different, or certainly more bold shot.
Punch it ball on this time, you lose the frame. Okay.
There's the warning. Just to clarify that, if you have got a clear shot at a red and you miss it 3 times in a row, after the second of which you'll be warned on the third occasion if you miss, you lose the frame. But it rarely happens, certainly not in a situation like that. He has given David Gray a chance. He may take the double on. I'm not saying he will, but it's a possibility. He's been quite cautious in the last frame or so. Not always taking on his half chances, because he's kind of recognised it's one of those days where they're not all going in.
Yes, if he can guarantee getting onto the black nicely, he'll take the double on without doubt. Now, does this red pot in the middle? If it does, he's absolutely butchered the shot, because the white shouldn't have been anywhere near there.
I'd say it must go, because he looked very disappointed, didn't he? He took it on full-bloodedly, but he's left a red to the left centre.
The lead, 29, will evaporate very quickly now. The balls are nice to, certainly made to inroads into that deficit.
1.
Ideally, he would like to finish low on this red to nudge the pink away from the
8.
two reds, but I think he's finished high, which means now he might decide, there you can see the angle, he might decide to play for the pink, because the pink spot's covered, and it will actually go on the brown spot should he pot the pink, which will help.
Nine.
Yes, clever little shot this from Anthony, because he now knows that the pink will bring these two reds into play with going on the brown spot. That's good break building, good knowledge. And right back in the frame now. Can he win it at this visit?
15. $16. 21. $22. 28.
Now level on points. Key apparently at this moment in time appears to be
29.
green and brown, which obviously is pottable. So you'd expect Anthony to win the frame at this visit now, especially if you can get the brown away from the green at some stage. But if the green pots, there's no need to worry about moving it. Even if it pots and goes back onto its own spot, it'll still pot again, green and brown available. It's one of those situations, Neil, isn't it, where you've just got to be careful. You know, you haven't got to do it. Everything's there for the taking. You have to play a bad shot from this position not to win the frame.
32.
Yeah, you're right. Everything goes. That red that's just above the pink will pot just about everywhere.
$33.
Just a question of which colour he gets on from this red to make it more simple for him to get up onto the last red. It's in the bulk area.
$39.
Well, that looks fine. Right in behind the pink.
Yes, I'd always prefer to play these off 2 cushions rather than 1 cushion, because you're guaranteed to get onto the red then. So 2 cushions is played. Gives you a bigger margin of error, you see, when you play around 2 cushions, where if you'd played it off 1 cushion, you come in directly into the face of the red, which doesn't always guarantee you finishing nicely.
45.
We know that the green will pot, so it doesn't have to play the cannon. Really, if he gets on the green here, then yellow and green will be enough. This is the kind of thing I wish that Anthony wouldn't do. We know that the green pots, it pots in any position. Sometimes he just gets himself at it a little bit by making things appear more difficult than they are.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he just has to pot this and get up the table and see what happens. There's plenty on.
If he's not on the green nice, he's going to be on the yellow, isn't he? So there's no problem at all with this shot. I mean, the only thing that can go wrong is if you play for the blue and get the wrong side of it. As it happens, he played it to the inch. Now, if he'd finished the other side of the blue, all of a sudden there's problems.
Yeah, he played it well, though, as you say, in the end. He's really making something of this. I'm sure
51.
it goes okay there. I can't believe that that green is in any way hampered by the brown.
Well, there you can clearly see he can get on it full ball and pot the green. We know the brown doesn't pot, but he doesn't need the brown.
53.
Well, he's come as the worst possible place he could have done for this, and it still pots. So why was all the hanging around? I don't know.
$56.
The highest break of the match so far. First time we've had over a 50.
65. $71. Frame. Anthony.
Well, that's a bit more like it from Anthony Hamilton. A 71 break.
That's the end of play for this session. Thank you.
So with David Gray leading by 4 frames to 2, they had to call a halt to proceedings because with still 3 frames left in the session, a bit too slow is what the organisers said, and now these men will have to make up for lost time when they resume this morning at 10 o'clock for the concluding session of that first round match. If you're a digital viewer, you'll be able to see that one on our interactive service. If not, we're back with you on BBC 2 at 4:25 this afternoon. Get some sleep. See you then.